Sparkling wines. Sparkling wines are the wines which contains significant level of carbon dioxide, which produces effervescence. Effervescence in simple terms is gas which gets released in the form of bubbles. It also makes a drink fizzy. Carbon dioxide may either be produced naturally with fermentation or be forcibly injected later. To have this effect naturally, the wine is fermented twice. Once in an open container to allow the carbon dioxide to escape into the air, as in any other winemaking process, and a second time in a sealed container or bottle, where the gas is caught and remains in the wine. Simply, we can say that by infusing or imparting carbon dioxide gas in a wine, we are making sparkling wine. The pressure level of carbon dioxide also affects our perception of a taste of a wine. The higher the pressure, the finer the bubbles are. If we talk about the pressure of the bubble, it is described in three terms. Number one is BD. It is a wine bottled and capped under less than 1 atmospheric pressure or 14.7 psi. psi is pound force per square inch. Semi-sparkling. A wine with 1 to 2.5 atm or 14.7 to 37 psi. Number 3 is sparkling. As per European Union control, wine with 3 or more atm can be labelled as sparkling wine. Carbon dioxide may be infused by several methods, as you can see on the screen. Number 1. Traditional method. This method is used for making the most famous sparkling wine, that is champagne. I have made a dedicated video on traditional method of making champagne. For the same, please check the I button above and a link is provided in the description below. Method number 2 is Charmat method or tank method. This method came as an alternative to traditional method in the early 20th century. The major difference between traditional and Charmat method is that in traditional method, fermentation and separation is done separately in individual bottles. That means still wines are converted into sparkling wine into individual bottles. But in Charmat method, base wines are added together with sugar and yeast, also called liquor de tirage, in a large tank of still wine, which undergoes a secondary fermentation inside the tank. And carbon dioxide released during secondary fermentation cause the tank to pressurize. After that, wines are filtered, dosed with expedition liquor and bottled. Wines are not further aged in bottles. The wine made from this method is more affordable and it's still used for making fine sparkling wines. Transfer method. This method is a mix of traditional method and tank method. This method is similar to traditional method up to secondary fermentation. The secondary fermentation takes place inside bottles, after which the wines are emptied into a pressurized tank and then sent through pressurized filters to remove sediments, dead yeast or lees. After filtration, the wine is packaged into new bottles. This way, time is saved, which is spent in the process of riddling and disgorgement. Continuous method. This method was created in Russia and is similar to tank method with a slight variation. Till first fermentation, the process remains the same as base wine. For secondary fermentation, the pressurized tanks are connected in a series where the base wine is pumped into the first tank and liquor the tirage, which is a solution of yeast and sugar, is added. After the wine is moved into another tank with yeast enrichments. Please note that these tanks contain oak shavings or chips. The yeast cells absorb these wood shaving and chips and ferment the sugar further, and the wine is circulated around them. This enhances the yeasty and toasty flavor, which also helps in clarifying the finished sparkling wine. Finally, the wine is moved into last set of pressurized tank where it is clarified and any remaining sediments are removed. As wine flows through series of connected pressurized tanks, and a continual addition of yeast into these tanks makes it possible to increase the pressure to 5 atmospheres. It is for this reason it is called continuous method. This process takes several months. That's why there aren't many producers except some large companies in Germany and Portugal.